Yeah, there we go. There you go. All right, it is Monday, a little bit after 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Create Your Future Self Live. And this is a special birthday edition. It's my birthday, y'all. I'm Victor Vanico Johnson. Yes, thank you so much. Tonight, my co-host is going to be Adina Collins, CEO of Fortitude Financial Consulting. Definitely one of our favorite guests to have on the show. Tonight, she's going to sit in the co-pilot seat. How you doing, Adina?
I'm doing well, Vic. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Actually, it's been almost a year to the day since I first came on, so it's good to be back.
Hey, absolutely. That is right. It has been. You actually were on a couple times last year, so very thankful to have you back in the seat. And we'll talk about some things. So much has happened in a year, huh?
Yes, man. Woo.
Whoa, my goodness. All right, so I just want folks to go ahead and share, like, comment, do what you can do there. Let's see, we got Adina Collins, and we will be talking a little bit about some of the updates, right, with the stimulus package, the new CARES Act, some of the things that people need to be aware of with that. So I just want to do a quick post to share out there now for folks to share, like, and again, please join us and comment. Let's see. Okay. How you been over there, Adina? What's been going on? You healthy, safe? Everybody good?
Doing good on this end, as I always make people laugh. I said all of us are just making our necessary adjustments.
Yeah, everybody. Wow. So before we even get into all the stuff with the CARES Act and everything, so again, it's been about a year since you sat in with us. And so what's one thing, is there one service that you either added or have taken away from your business as an adjustment to the COVID-19?
Actually, I've added two. One was business plans, because I saw that there was going to be an explosion, of course, of new entrepreneurs. So I said, you know what? Some entrepreneurs, especially newer ones, or ones that have had to pivot, may need some help in reference to what direction that they may want to go in, and just making sure that they have really taken a look at different operations and what makes them stand out against everyone else. And then the second thing that I ended up doing to supplement my services was actually becoming a licensed life accident and health insurance agent. Oh, wow. So this is going to be something that I feel like really will be able to help not only individuals, but families, as well as small business owners, because sometimes small business owners, because they're not part of a big group, sometimes end up being overlooked. And so this is just a way for me to be able to assist them with, just making sure that they are making sure that they're protected from an income and asset standpoint, as well as making sure that they are doing adequate retirement planning.
Wow, nice. So you went in the dungeon, ate your spinach, and got stronger during COVID.
I'm not going to show you the guns today, but yeah, we were doing what we got to do.
I know you add some services that really do help people, and I will be the first to testify on your behalf. You redid my business plan for Nico Don Projects. Oh my God, thank you so very much. It's been tremendously helpful. And, folks need to realize how important it is to have that business plan. It tells the story of your business, and why you're in this business, where you're going with the business. And it lets, more importantly, investors, lenders, anybody that might be throwing money at your business, lets them know that you understand your business and know where you're going with it. So a huge hat goes off to you for helping me with my business plan. And I encourage anybody listening, watching, if you already have a plan and you need to upgrade it, or you don't even know where to start, please make sure you hit up Adina Collins for that. That's a very important service you'll need for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Vic. I always say that a business plan is almost kind of like your financial passport. It'll take you into places way before you even arrive. Nice. So it really is a great representation of who you are and who your business is. So
absolutely. So obviously you've been very busy these last 12 months. You've added some new services. You already had a great business model where you were helping a lot of folks. And so as a tax planner, I know you've got to be all over this CARES Act. So I guess the first thing I want to ask is, I know last year's it rolled out, obviously, because we were in the beginning of this whole new thing. Are there any changes that have, I guess, that people can look at from last year's CARES Act versus this second version of it, or the second stimulus package?
Well, the good thing is that, of course, more money is going to come to the people who actually need it, and also to smaller business owners. And so I'm really, really happy to be able to share that information with y'all today. One thing that I'm super encouraged about is the way that the new act was actually crafted, the one that actually passed in December of 2020, is that there's not going to be funding that's going to go to large corporations. And that was so shameful, especially when the smaller guys, the smaller to mid-sized businesses were really fledgling. They needed the assistance. They needed the help. It may have been a little bit difficult to be able to get traditional bank business loans. And so I'm super encouraged by that. And so far, there's really not going to be a huge tax impact to either individuals or business owners. And so I'm very, very encouraged about that.
So that was going to be one of my questions. So people that did benefit from PPP money, Paycheck Protection Program money, or EIDL, Economic Impact dollars that were rolled out last year, so they won't be taxed for those dollars that they benefited from during those programs?
So far, so good. Now, anything, of course, is subject to change. But as of right now, when I get into it a little bit later, I think that people are going to be very pleased about the way that the laws have been written. And I think it's going to end up being a good thing. With there being a change in administration from a tax planning standpoint, it's going to be a little bit difficult to say what's going to happen in 2021. So, of course, now that President Biden has now taken over, yes, there may be some changes in reference to tax laws, but remember, it's not just President Biden that's responsible for doing this. It's going to be Congress that's going to have to vote on any tax changes. And quite honestly, I would not expect any votes to come until way after former President Trump's impeachment trial is over, and also that they start going back and forth in reference to additional funding that's going to be needed for the American people. So just kind of hang tight. There may be some changes that may be happening, but more than likely those changes probably will not happen until, I would say, at least the next 6 to 9 months. And so, of course, I'll be happy to be able to come back and talk to you as those different changes occur. But so far, I think we're on track, and hopefully, people will be doing what they need to do. So
absolutely. No, that is encouraging information. I'm glad you shared that. So give us a couple of the highlights. What are some things that people can look at, just kind of in a nutshell, high level, some things that stand out with this new CARES Act, this new stimulus package?
Well, let's talk about the hot topic in reference to the second round of the economic stimulus checks. So the IRS actually had until January 15th to be able to get out most of the second checks. And so if you were eligible to receive the first $1,200 as a single person, or $2,400 as a married couple filing jointly, then you should have actually received those monies. However, if you used a specific tax filing system, such as sometimes it was TurboTax, Tax Act, H&R Block, perhaps even Jackson Hewitt, there was a huge thing that happened between the IRS and the tax providers. In some cases, the IRS would not allow the tax providers to go ahead and disperse those funds because, of course, they filed on your behalf. Well, what they did was they actually made those tax filing services return all of the monies back to the IRS. And then the IRS turned right back around and actually sent the monies directly, or they were supposed to send the monies back to the individual taxpayers. So why all of the back and forth? I don't know. There were some different cases where there may have been closed bank accounts that people had actually used previously when they filed their tax returns. And sometimes those monies were bouncing back. But, it was kind of a tug of war, if you will, between the IRS. If there were any people that have not received their funds yet, you can always check with, if you ended up using those particular tax filing services, you can always check and see whether or not if there were monies that were supposed to be returned, if they had been returned. And if you have not received them as of yet, there is some good news. You can actually go ahead when you file your 2020 tax return, you can actually choose to go ahead and get that as an add-on to your refund, or if you happen to owe taxes, then you may be able to go ahead and apply what you would have had for your economic stimulus towards anything that you owe for that.
Oh.
So, it's just been kind of we just kind of have to wait and see what's going to happen. But just be mindful also too, that of course, depending upon what your income was, you may or may not have been eligible to receive those funds. So if you were single, if you made less than $75,000 per year, then you were eligible to be able to get those funds. If you were filing head of household, if you made a total of $112,500, then you would have been eligible for that second round of economic stimulus funds. And then if you were married filing jointly, then you could have actually received those funds if you made together less than $150,000. The other thing was, so it would have been an extra $600 if you were a single person. If you were head of household, if you were married filing jointly, you could have gotten an additional $1,200. And if you had children, you could get an extra $600 per child if the children were 16 years old or less. So, it was definitely helpful to quite a few families. And what's going to happen in reference to the third round? Again, no one really knows at this point. They're still trying to make sure that so many other bills are sailing through. And again, I think one of the big concerns, of course, is going to be the impeachment trial, which starts tomorrow for former President Trump, and also just some other pending issues that need to be addressed with Congress. So hopefully, that information is helpful. And again, I would say if you have your information and you have not been able to receive your second payment yet, you can always go back to irs.gov and check the Get My Payment status. That should be able to tell you whether or not the IRS has it in processing, what date it should be going out in reference to direct deposit. You could get the funds either direct deposit, by check, by paper check, or sometimes if you actually previously had a refund that was deposited by like a debit card that the IRS would have issued, it could have come in that manner as well. So check your mailbox very, very carefully to make sure that maybe it's not stuck in between maybe some junk mail or things like that, because sometimes people have accidentally thrown away.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. No, that's very good information. So I'm going to recap those numbers real quickly as far as the salaries. I think you said single can earn up to $75,000 and they should be able to receive those stimulus dollars. $112,500 for head of household, and under $150,000 for married couples filing jointly. Is that correct?
That's correct. Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, there's hope for anybody that falls under those numbers and you still haven't received it. I would assume that you probably are getting it. Hopefully you haven't thrown it away thinking it was junk mail. What should they do? You said go to irs.gov if they think they may have tossed it out. Is that what they would do? Or
they can also, and also if you think you have not received it yet, you can always go to the Get My Payment link. So you could just go to irs.gov, Get My Payment, and it's just going to ask you to go ahead and put in your social security number, your date of birth, your street address, and it's going to lead you through their portal, and it'll go ahead and tell you whether or not there was anything that was scheduled or if anything had been queued, whether it's through paper check or through direct deposit.
Tremendous information. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let's talk about another hot topic with this thing is, I even did a post and an entire segment on last year about 12/31/2020 was supposed to be the end of the moratorium for landlords and the whole tenant thing where people could now become evicted from their property. So what's changed now with that program and with Biden in the office and everything?
Okay. Well, the first thing is that for the in reference to the COVID Act, which passed in December, the great thing is that Congress has now set aside $25 billion with a B in funds for rental assistance. And so the great thing is that landlords can apply for back rent funding as well as utilities for their tenants, or the tenants can go ahead and apply directly for those funds. So that's definitely wonderful. The great thing is that for people that qualify, they may be able to qualify for up to 12 months worth of assistance, which of course is going to be extremely helpful for those who have been impacted. However, in reference to the qualifications for it, I'm going to kind of go over that in just a little bit.
Okay.
But I did want to go ahead and say, I know that you have viewers from across the country, but since both of us are here in Texas, I wanted to be able to give some great news for Texas. Again, $25 billion overall across the country has been set aside for this particular program. Texas is going to get $1 billion of the 25 billion, which is great. And so one of the things that if you're in Texas that you may want to go ahead and do is you may want to go ahead and check out the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. There is a particular link on there that's for Texas Emergency Rental Assistance Program. They have kind of like what you may call a smart sheet. And so what they have is a breakdown by each county in Texas that you can go ahead and click that link, and it will tell you which agency in your particular area, whether it's your county or within your municipality, is actually going to be responsible for those applications. So it may be a little bit easier for you to do that. For example, the county that I'm in, which is Denton County, for Denton County, United Way of Denton County is actually going to be responsible for doing that. Each individual county may have different agencies that are going to be responsible for giving out those particular funds. So again, you may want to start maybe with the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs to be able to see which agency is going to be responsible. It's also going to tell you which date that they will start that particular program. So that's going to be a huge relief both for landlords and for tenants. When President Biden entered office in mid-January, he immediately signed an executive order, if you will, which actually extended the moratorium for evictions through March 31st. So that means that people should be safe through March 31st. However, if you think you may qualify, I'm going to give you some qualifications in just a second. If you think you may qualify for this new round of the rental assistance, please make sure that you go ahead and start gathering your documentation together and go ahead and let your landlord know, hey, I think I may be eligible for this. Can you work with me while I go ahead and submit the application? And just keep them posted to let them know how you're doing, where you are, and just that these funds should hopefully be coming if you meet the qualifications. So.
Okay, and no idea as far as, I know you're going to go into the qualifications, well, no idea as far as how long it takes once you've qualified and applied. Or is there any information on that?
It's going to depend upon the speed of how quickly that the individual agencies are going to be able to do that. The great news is that as of January 26th, the monies actually left the federal government and they were dispersed to the individual states.
Okay.
So all of the states actually did receive the funds as of the last week of January. Again, it's going to be up to the states to go ahead and make sure that they funnel those monies that they got to the individual agencies that are going to be helping them to be able to disperse the funds. So you can always go ahead and check, like I said, the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. You can also check your local municipality. They're going to also have some links on their websites as well in reference to this program. And so this is going to be, again, regarding COVID rental assistance, the newest program as of December 2020.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Okay. So let's not keep the people waiting. Let's talk about the qualifications a little bit.
Okay, well, perfect. Number one is that you would either have to qualify for unemployment. So if you are currently on unemployment or you've recently been assessed that you will be getting unemployment, you would definitely qualify for that. Or if you've experienced a loss in income due to COVID-19. So they're actually going to be looking at either verification of your benefits that you're currently receiving from unemployment, or they will also go ahead and take a look at what your income would have been from 2020. If you ended up just recently having a job loss and you can prove that you did have a job loss, that would probably put you also in that qualified area. But again, whatever you can gather to be able to document and to be able to show that you would qualify from an income standpoint, that would definitely be helpful.
So for example, just kind of touch on that. So obviously basically unemployment check or a stub or something, or some letter showing that you are actively receiving that. And then is it a check stub that they'd be looking for, or?
You can also go ahead and provide copies of check stubs. And then also too, perhaps if you were recently laid off, if you received some type of furlough notice or something like that from your employer, then that would also help to be able, yes, definitely eviction notice would be able to help as well. Something in reference to your employer saying that you're either, you've been separated from the company or you've been furloughed, that would definitely be helpful as well. The second thing is that you can demonstrate that you would be at risk for homelessness. So of course, if you had some type of eviction notice, if you had something else that helped to verify, obviously that, you would be at risk of being homeless, that would definitely help to be able to document your housing situation. And then also you would thirdly have to meet the household income, whether or not you would meet the poverty level standards in reference to household income at or below 80% of whatever your local area median income is. And what you can do is to be able to find out what that number is, you can actually go ahead and go to your local municipality or your county's website and be able to determine that. I know that the city that I'm in, they do actually have that posted. If you go ahead and look for rental assistance relief and whatnot, they will actually be able to tell you what those median average numbers are going to be. And of course, if you're in a larger city, it may vary. If you're in a rural area, of course, it may be much less than if you were living in a city. So it is going to be based upon your individual area. And you can definitely go ahead and look that up. And again, everyone is having some type of issue. So please don't feel like, it's something, that anyone has to be ashamed of or anything like that, but just know that there are dollars that are out there that should be able to help regarding that. The good thing is that if you are at risk of being evicted, the good thing is that whichever agency that you're going to be working with, they're going to prioritize those particular cases. So that's going to be great. And again, the more documentation that you're able to provide, that's going to be great. Each individual agency may ask you for different other types of documentation, such as, of course, being able to verify your identity, a copy of your, ID. Perhaps they may ask for bank statements or other things that can help document your case. So each agency is going to vary regarding that. And the funds typically are going to be paid directly to the landlord. You can also get assistance for utilities or to the utility company. If for some strange reason your landlord does not want to participate in this particular program, they don't have to. And then in that case, then the check would actually be made payable to the tenant. And then it would be up to the tenant to be able to go and pay for their back rent and also for those utilities.
Can't imagine a landlord would be wanting to not accept that, but hey, at least there's an option.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And on the Facebook page here, on Laquita's Facebook page, there's a gentleman named Terrence Brock who has posted www.huduser.gov/datasets/il.html. I'm not sure exactly. I guess that's a HUD. Income limits are shown here. So I just clicked on it. So that does show the varying access individual median family income levels based on the area. So that's a good place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terrence,
for posting that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So that's really good information because, obviously as a real estate investor, we've been very blessed and fortunate that, our tenants have been able to maintain everything, and we've got a good communication line with them in case anything does happen. But in some of my networks of other investors, some of them have experienced tenants that have not paid, been unable to pay, and even in some cases have, kind of taken on a bad attitude about it and have just closed out the communication lines. And I just want to encourage people out there, no matter what's going on, if you're in a situation like that, again, Adina just said it, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. The entire globe is aware of what's happening with our health situation, COVID-19, and landlords and tenants alike should be able to communicate with each other. This is a living situation. Like, we got to be able to talk through these things. And I would just encourage people, the second that you see that there may be a potential loss to your income or changes to your job or business situation, be proactive and talk to the people that you make payments to, not just your landlords, but your, utilities, your mortgage lender, or whoever it is that you're paying. Let them know, be proactive. That's always a better advice, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, that's good stuff. Anything else on that piece you want to share, Adina?
No, I would just say that I know that sometimes it takes just a minute. Remember that the local agencies have to be able to work with your governmental officials, so your local municipalities and your county officials. So just again, I would probably just go ahead and make sure that you're checking back regularly. Either to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs or to your local municipality to be able to determine who's going to be responsible for it. If you want to be able to go ahead and go then to that agency's website, they should be regularly posting some things in reference to them because it took them also a minute to be able to work with them and kind of get the processes together for the new applications that they're taking. So I would imagine that many people are going to probably start taking applications, if not the second full week of February, then probably the following week. So just know that relief is coming and just make sure that you go ahead and start gathering your documents.
It's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Are there any, I know I take a look at the CARES Act quite a bit myself, just because, again, there's credit implications, there's real estate implications and things in there. And I think this thing is like 3,000 something pages. Like, how many pages that act is? I mean, it is.
I think it was 5.
Yeah.
I think
it might be like 5,000 pages. So there's a lot of information in there. I know for sure that they're still also allowing, if there's people that need to tap into their 401k accounts and IRA accounts, they're withholding that 10% penalty tax, I believe, for at least for now, for a temporary period of time. And I know that they were usually taxing you over a 3-year window or a 1-year window. Now they're stretching it out to 3-year window, some things like that. So there's a lot of things in there. I would encourage people, hey, go visit the CARES Act and take a look and see if there's some things in there that also have an impact on your direct business or your direct personal finances. So that's really good stuff. This time last year when you came, we were talking about things that small business owners should be doing to prepare for this tax season. I'd love to kind of sit there as well and just talk about some of the things, obviously not without giving away your whole kit and caboodle. People obviously need to reach out to you and get some consulting with you if they have some more detailed guidance that they need. But just maybe 2 or 3 things that you might suggest for small business owners as they prepare for this year's tax season.
One, if we're still using the brown paper bag or the plastic bag as our filing system, let's move away from that, okay? Paper does fade, y'all. Okay, paper does fade. So let's make sure that we're going ahead and pulling your documentation. It's fine. I don't think we're going to completely go paperless, but please make sure you start scanning your documents. Anything and everything that you can think of, whether it's bank statements, individual receipts, if it's proof of payments, anything else that you can think of that would be able to help your tax preparer to be able to gather some documents together, definitely go ahead and do that. If you have not regularly been reconciling your books and making sure that you are keeping up with your expenses as well as your sales, now's the time to go ahead and do that. Why is that important? Because your tax preparer is going to be looking at your profit and loss statement to be able to help you to be able to file your business tax return. So you definitely want to be able to do that. And then finally, if you did, I know that most of us were inside most of last year, but if you did still have to travel for your business, please make sure that you are also tracking your mileage. As of last year, the IRS allowed you to deduct, I believe it was 57.5 cents per mile for business mileage. So you may want to make sure that you are going back, and if you're anything like me where you end up keeping your electronic calendar, you may be able to go back and reconstruct when you had different out of office appointments, if you had to go and run errands for your business to make, to pick up supplies or to be able to do other types of things. Now's the perfect time to be able to do that. Here in Texas, we know that we are kings of the tollways. I would definitely say if you ended up having to use tollways for business purposes, please go ahead and make sure that you're downloading your monthly reports from the toll system and being able to go ahead and highlight which ones would be applicable for business purposes. So that's just a couple of key tips. Let's just make sure that we're staying as organized as we can. I would definitely go ahead and just be aware, because of everything that's been happening with the processing of the COVID and economic stimulus types of billings through the IRS. They actually ended up pushing back when they were going to start taking this year's tax returns. Okay. So it's my understanding that the IRS is not going to start accepting tax returns until February 12th. So that's going to be this Friday. Okay. So don't feel like you're behind or anything like that. The feds have just, there has been all of these bills that have been sailing back and forth, and unusual activity during their so-called slow time. So just be patient, make sure that you're ready. You're going to start gathering your documentation, and you start going ahead and speaking with your tax preparer or your tax planner.
And that's excellent guidance. All of those are tremendous tips. And, hopefully people were listening a year ago and they already kind of have this stuff in line or organized. I have really enjoyed using QuickBooks Online and having a bookkeeper to kind of keep me reconciled throughout the year. And giving me some good information. Again, I was working with you for a couple months there. You definitely set me up properly for 2020. But this stuff is a moving target. Like, it's a living, breathing thing. You can't just do one thing in business and then expect to just kind of sit back and autopilot yourself. You have to stay abreast. And that's where it helps to have great people in your corner, like Adina, if you're looking for ways to not only accelerate your growth with your business, but protect what you're bringing in through your business by, mitigating some of those tax penalties or different tax codes out there that might take away from some of your earnings. So great guidance. We appreciate you always sharing that information. One question that I do also have, Adina, so you mentioned about the meals and mileage and things. Has there been any updates to the meals under this new CARES Act or this new stimulus round 2?
Yes, actually, as of last year, you could only deduct 50% of your business meals for the next 2 years. So for 2021 and for 2022, you can actually deduct 100% of your business meals.
What? Wow.
So make sure that you are saving not only copies of your bank statements, but saving copies of your receipts as well. And so as long as you were able to document that, whether it was coffee or you ended up having to meet someone for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever you want to do, it's good now for the next 2 years, just for the next 2 years only, you'll be able to deduct 100%.
That is amazing. That's a big one right there. Hope people are paying attention on that one. Good stuff. So, okay. So we know that you do tax planning, consulting, you do business plans. Tell people out there. So there's probably somebody watching that is interested in getting some consulting with you. Give us an idea of what that feels like, what a person could expect if they reach out to you for some consulting, in any regards that you offer.
Sure. Well, usually what I like to do is I like to have kind of like a 20-minute or so virtual coffee chat. Very, very informal, just to be able to see where you are, what your concerns may be, try to determine where you want to go, and take a look at where, what types of things you may need to be able to help your business. Sometimes it may just be something that's very, very small in reference to, hey, I already know where I am. I know where I want to go. I may be implementing a brand new system. I may be planning to do something else. Would you mind working with me for a set period of time? Not a problem. Sometimes there's other people that may feel like they may want to have some ongoing monthly or quarterly services. Mm-hmm. That's definitely something that we can do as well. And so in reference to working with me, pretty much what you're seeing right now is how I operate. So literally we would have an opportunity to be able to work. More than likely it's going to be Zoom. Sorry, guys, just because of the way the COVID is. Hey, there's no distance on Zoom. There's no distance on phone call if you really think about it. So we can definitely go ahead and touch base in reference to where you are, being able to hopefully offer you some practical solutions that'll be able to assist you with becoming more efficient, more profitable. making sure that you were able to meet your revenue targets, making sure that you were in line to be able to do tax savings and to take advantage of sometimes things that you're just not aware of that may be available to you as a business owner. And so really just a little bit of an assessment, not anything formal, not like I'm going to test you or anything like that, but just to be able to make sure that we're on the same page in reference to what your needs are, where you want to go, where you want to be, and giving you a little bit of a realistic time frame of what it would take to be able to get you to where you want to go.
I love it. I love it. All right. So give us the website and information where you want people to contact you, and I will definitely drop it in there.
Sure.
So reach out. Mm-hmm.
Sure, no problem. Actually, you can reach out to me via my website, which is fortitudefinc.com. So Fortitude, F as in Frank, inc.com. You can definitely reach out to me there. On the first page of my website, there's actually a contact form. And so you were actually able to go ahead and book a 20-minute consultation with me. I'm happy to be able to speak with you regarding that. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. It's under Adina Collins and then MBA, MBA. You can reach out to me there. You can also follow me on Facebook under my company page, which is Fortitude Financial Consulting. Same thing on Instagram as well under Fortitude Financial Consulting.
Gotcha. Excellent. Yeah, we'll make sure we drop that in there. Please, folks, reach out. Adina is in the local Dallas, Texas area, but obviously able to assist people from every corner of the United States that have businesses, that have tax situations, and wants to try to plan properly for the future. So one thing I asked a colleague of mine that's actually in the life insurance space, and again, if you're not comfortable answering any of this, I'm curious to know if there's any information out there about. So we know COVID hit. 300 something thousand people have died from this thing. I don't know the numbers exactly. I know it's a big number. And I'm just wondering how that's impacted the life insurance industry. One, from the payout perspective. So, one way we know that families build generational wealth is by having these life insurance policies in place in the passing of family members. And I'm just wondering if we'll see any improvement, any reduction of the wealth gap that we see between different cultures. And just wondering if you have any thoughts or ideas around that, or if you've come across any information around the whole life insurance part of and how it has been impacted through this whole COVID thing. I mean, with all the passing of people in the last year.
Well, quite honestly, even with over 400,000 people passing away, the amazing thing is that life insurance companies have been doing extremely well. Wow. Why? Because people have started looking at their own mortality more seriously. And when you think about all of the different essential workers, you think about the teachers, you think about everyone else who's required to be out. If you didn't previously have protection for yourself, and you weren't thinking about, yourself and your family before, now has really been a time that people have really said, you know what, even if it comes down to final expense, I need to be able to have something that's available to know that if anything were to happen to me, then I know that my family can still, go on. In reference to trends that I've seen with life insurance, because there's a plethora of insurance companies that are out there, each individual company may make their own decisions in reference to what's going to happen regarding payouts. To my knowledge, I'm unaware of anyone who's been denied, in a life insurance payout because they may have passed away from COVID. That has not been anything that I've heard of before. Yeah. What may end up happening, and again, it could be based upon individual insurance companies, what may end up happening is for the survivors of COVID, it could end up being something that insurance companies may end up rating people on when it comes down to perhaps renewing a policy. So that could be something, when you think about it, you're rated on different types of factors, whether or not you have existing conditions. Did you have prior existing conditions? That could be something that may come up. And again, each insurance carrier makes their own rules in reference to how they evaluate and how they rate people, in reference to how much insurance that they're willing to write on them, and what level of insurance that they may be able to receive. But it's still, like Vic said, one of the best ways to be able to start to build wealth, especially when it comes down to, especially the African American community. It's one of the more accessible ways to be able to start building wealth. And so, honestly, if you end up starting earlier, of course, your rates end up cheaper. However, I'd want to definitely encourage people, even if you're in your 40s like me, or you may be even older, there's always different insurance companies. I'm free to actually work with about 100 insurance companies. There's always going to be someone who's going to be out there who would be willing to insure you, and it won't necessarily cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, I just think that is something we've got to be screaming from the mountaintops right now. We know that this disease has disproportionately impacted our culture, our society, the Black community. And, if there's one way that we want to try to come up, it's got to be this way. We know that our families are dropping from this thing. Obviously, wherever you feel about the vaccine, do what you got to do to protect your family. But also know that if you have a loss in the family, you guys should have already been talking about, well, what are we doing about life insurance for Uncle Ned that's been coughing a lot lately, or, whatever. We've got to do these things, and it shouldn't be something we're embarrassed to have the conversation about. Sit down with your family and let's talk about, what's going to happen should I pass on, and what's left. What have I done as a father to make sure that there's a will in place, that we have maybe a trust account, or whatever your strategy is for your family. We can't let this season come by and we still haven't made any changes to secure the future of our families. And so I hope people reach out to you. I know that's, again, one of the services you've added to your company. And so hopefully people will consider that very seriously, or reach out to somebody that can get your family insured for life insurance.
Absolutely. And one thing that I'd also like to mention as well, depending upon which carrier that you may work with, sometimes they require a medical exam, just depending upon the amount of insurance that you're getting. Sometimes they don't. So, yes, there may be a health questionnaire that may be asked. But in reference to, you having to actually physically go to a doctor or something like that, again, it just depends on the individual carrier. So I just wanted to encourage people that even if you haven't been to the doctor in a minute, again, it's definitely accessible to everyone, regardless of what your health condition may be.
Yeah, I mean, something that got me thinking about when you mentioned about the health, exam. Just one thing that I will say, and I think Benny and Kim, they always talk about, look, let's stop running into these health centers and clinics just blabbing about things that you think is wrong with you. That stuff gets documented. And when you get ready to get looked at for life insurance, they're going to say, oh, well, you came in for a twisted ankle. It's like Ricky Smiley on his show. He's like, well, she had a twisted ankle, had laryngitis, had ear infections, all this stuff you're going in. And I'm not saying don't take care of your health. I'm just saying, is everything needed that you got to run in and have them do some documented exam on you, when sometimes you just need to get some rest, drink some water, eat some broccoli, get some green tea in you. Let's take care of our bodies and do things, but stop running in there telling every single thing about your health. I'm telling you, that stuff could affect you financially on your life insurance policy. So again, I'm not trying to tell people how to trick the system, and I'm just saying, don't be so forthcoming with information that's not even true about your health, because it sometimes gets documented, and now it looks like you've had a trend with this particular thing. So I don't know. Anything you want to say on that? Maybe I'm going too far with it. But.
No, well, I mean, it's true. I mean, quite honestly, and again, depending upon what level of life insurance that they get, they are going to go ahead and ask even for prior medical records. So Vic is right. They will go ahead and ask for it. Sometimes it's depending upon which company, it could go back 5 years. It could go back longer. So you just may want to be aware of that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, no, this has been great. Again, we appreciate you sharing. This was tremendously useful information with this second round of stimulus going on, and people now know where they can go get information if they haven't received their check, but they feel like they qualify in one of those categories. One thing I picked up from this today is to remember to download my toll tag receipts out of a toll tag system. Make sure I get those over to my CPA. But thank you, Adina, so much for joining me today, being my co-hostess while Laquita is out. Prayers up for my man, Ben Monley. I want to make sure he's doing well and taking care of his health, but we appreciate you sitting in tonight. It's been a great pleasure. I thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. Also, I know we didn't have a chance to get to it, but I would also encourage all business owners, go ahead and check out, there's a second round of the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP program, as well as the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. These are all through the SBA. So you may want to go to sba.gov to see if you may qualify for that second round. It would definitely be worth it. And again, these are going to be funds that are going to be prioritized for small to mid-sized business owners. The big guys are not going to get it this time.
That's really good to know. And we do have a couple minutes. So while you're on that, what are your thoughts about some of these other companies that are offering the PPP application process? Is it safe? Should people be okay with that? Just any feedback from your perspective.
I would just say make sure that they are actually reputable. And so, there's nothing wrong with people, especially one, if you don't have time, or two, you just want to make sure that you get things right. If you really feel like, it's something, that would be worth your while, certainly you can definitely go ahead and do that. I would just be aware of the different types of fees. You have to determine what's a reasonable fee for you or not. And just to be able to see if they have a track record in reference to, how many loan applications or that they've processed, what's been their results, and being able to help people. But then also, let me make sure that I mention this as well. If you are doing these applications, listen to me, I'm a former internal auditor. I would definitely recommend, please do not falsify anything that you provide. I'm just going to put it to you like this. The feds, yes, we have a lot of different things that are happening. But even with last year's applications, they have now began to go ahead and investigate people that have falsified information that they submitted to be able to get the PPP loan and the EIDL loan. You do not want to be on the feds' target. You don't want to be on their radar for the rest of your life because you were desperate to be able to get money. Please do not do that. So I'm just saying, go with whatever your numbers are. That's what your numbers are. And if you get the funds, you get the funds. But if not, there's all types of ways to be able to get other types of business loan funding as well.
There you go. Great point. Great place to stop. I don't even want to add nothing on top of that. Keep your integrity, folks. Make sure, again, these people, this is 2021. They got a system. It's something, an AI, something in the cloud is tracking every single thing that we do out here. So don't think that you're outsmarting the system. Please, please. So great guidance again on that. You can definitely reach out to Adina Collins at fortitudefinc.com. Visit her website. She's all over social media as well. I got your LinkedIn page here at Adina Collins, MBA on LinkedIn. Please follow her. She's always sharing great content, good information as it comes out. So we appreciate our relationship with you, Adina. Thank you so much for being a friend to the Create Your Future Self Live family and for sharing so much useful information.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. It's time for me to get some birthday dinner. So thank you so much. All right, Adina, we'll see you next time, okay?
All right.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.